It's difficult to talk about the three principles. When I'm doing a seminar in a group, I break them up and talk about mind, consciousness, and thought. I don't know if I want to do that now. They're just a metaphor, and I always say to the people in the group that because I only have my own understanding of them, which is not truth, it's not really what they are, I don't want you to cling on to the understanding I have and take that as truth. I want you to get a feel for the direction we're heading in. You know, we're trying to get people to see that there's somewhere your experience comes from, and that place is not where you think it comes from. You're not experiencing reality that's out there. You're experiencing a reality which is really a reflection of your own mind. And that's coming from a more fundamental, a more spiritual, a more universal place than you think it is. I try to get people to see that the potential for them as human beings is so much more than they could ever imagine, because their experience is coming from a place that's infinite, that's not limited. It's coming from a place that Sid calls universal mind. It's coming from an energy, a source, a creative spark that has no limits, that is just pure wisdom. And I think that's very freeing for people. I think that's very freeing, because before they feel very, very limited. They look at themselves and they look at their own experiences, their own memories, and they think, I don't know that much. And they feel quite limited by that. And when you say to them, that's not a problem, because that's not what generates thought. That's not what generates your experience. It's coming from somewhere much deeper, much more profound, where there are no limitations. That gives them hope. That's where the hope comes from. So when I teach, I'll speak about consciousness being awareness and breathing life into your thinking, and thought just being a potential to create form, taking this formless energy, taking this potential and creating a form, formulating something in the moment, and we'll talk around that. But that's not what really changes people. It's because within each person, they know this. They have their own understanding of this. And it's being sparked, it's being touched, and they're hearing something, and they're actually not hearing what I'm saying. They're hearing their own truth. That's what they're starting to hear, their own insight. And the beautiful thing about it is that when they actually have their own insight, it's often got nothing to do with what I was saying. They think it's got something to do with what I was saying, but it's got to do with the fact that their mind quieted down and they heard something. They heard their own truth. So in essence, I guess I'd sum it up, if you can sum it up, by saying, Sid says, look at what's creating, not at what's created. And I love that, because generally that's what we're all drawn to. We're all drawn to what's created. Let me look at what's in front of me, what I can see, what's visible. Let me look at the form, and then let me work with that. But that's limited. That's already been created. That's in this world. That's of this reality. But there's somewhere that's coming from. There's some potential that's creating that form. And potential is just potential. You can always, that's where change comes from. Any kind of shift that happens within the human being is because they've touched that potential. They've touched that energy that has no form yet, and they've created something different with it. So that's what I'm saying to people. Look behind the scenes at what's creating. That's where the power is. And that's where it's easy. It's easy. Because potential's not molded. It's nothing. It's energy. So that to me that's one of the most powerful things that understanding these principles has shown me, and I try to share with people. And the other thing is just that by understanding where your experience is coming from, gives people a lot of comfort. It makes them see that this world is not overwhelming and is not frightening, and there's nothing to be afraid of, in essence. It's all okay. It's all okay. They become much less taken by the experience, and they get much more resilient in the face of the experience, which has been it's been one of the things that I treasure the most. Is that I didn't feel resilient before. I felt vulnerable. I felt very, very vulnerable. And that's one of the things that understanding these principles has given me. It's given me a resilience, seeing that my experience is in the moment, it's coming from a place that I can trust. And if it goes off or haywire, I probably had something to do with that, and that's fine. I let myself off the hook. And nothing's as serious as it was before, but everything's more meaningful. And that's a beautiful way to live, when nothing's as serious, but it's far more meaningful. Because the essence of it is pure, the essence of it is beautiful, the essence of it is spiritual. But how it plays out in the form doesn't really matter. It's just how it plays out in that moment. And then there's a new experience coming forward, and a new experience. And we can always go deeper and more profound. And we always can get more creative. And we can have a lot of fun, too, with our thinking. We can have a lot of fun, and we can laugh at ourselves. So there's so many different things that these principles allow us to do. There's so many different ways that they change us. They make us change our mind. We can change our mind. We can drop our thinking. Life becomes much bigger than it was. It seems much bigger. And your ability to connect to other people becomes much deeper too. So